It changed my life, and that was in Chicago. When I moved to Arizona, after writing poetry myself for a while but never really performing, I went to a place called the Orbit Espresso Cafe. And that Orbit Espresso Cafe was on Central and Camelback, and it was a poetry slam. I had no idea what a poetry slam was. I had no idea what spoken word was. I just knew I wrote poetry, and I like to say it out loud. I like to recite it to the homies in the alleys on the west side of Chicago, walking down the street, going to the store, and they'll say, "Hey, Harold, tell me a poem." And that's how it started for me. And that poetry gave me an outlet and changed my life and saved my life from being in that environment and everything else that I was going through. And when I got to Arizona and found somewhere, I was looking for like minds and went to the Orbit Espresso Cafe. And moving from Chicago to Arizona, I was looking for some people with some melanin as well, because wasn't a whole lot of brothers and sisters around that I was around, living in Avondale actually. And we went to Phoenix, went to that poetry set. And at this poetry set, it was a gentleman named Sarge Linticum running it. It was a poetry slam. He was a Vietnam vet, absolute hippie, and he was amazing. And this gentleman gave me a venue to really polish my performance. And in that poetry set, it was another sister who similarly moved from a large city, New York, and she was there reciting her poetry as well. And we were kindred spirits from the beginning. And she has been trying to get rid of me ever since. That was 22 years ago, over 22 years ago. She's been trying to get rid of me ever since, but she finally accepted I ain't leaving. Her mama accepted I ain't leaving. Her kids accepted I ain't leaving. I am family, and that's just going to be what it's going to be. And at the time, she was truth, and then divine truth, now divine essence, now she just divine. She just divine. One of the most amazing poets I ever met, one of the purest spirits I ever got a chance to meet as well. And in addition to poetry, she locks hair for the community out here, so she does that as well. And she just took some amazing pictures of my children. Her photography is absolutely jumping off and doing this thing as well. So let me introduce you to our own Divine.
Thank you, HB.
How you doing?
Pleasure to be here. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for being my first guest and coming to spend some time and talk a little bit about yourself, as well as talk about just what's going on. You know what I mean? Me and you have had a lot of real conversations that, you know, when there were people around to hear the convo, they felt enlightened when it was over. So let's expand that a little bit, right? Let's expand that. But before we do that, I told them a little bit about you, but I would guess you could tell your story better. So whatever, you know, not judging. So do me a favor, tell me your story. Introduce the people to Divine.
So I moved out here from the Bronx, New York in 1989 with my mother. She separated from my father. And I was actually writing poetry in New York. And then I never recited it to anyone. When I came out here to Arizona, it was a whole nother world to me. It was like a whole nother planet. I had no friends, no real friends, you know, like I did in New York. And writing became my friend. I told writing all my secrets and all of my questions and what have you. And at one point in my teenage years, my mother was a little worried because I went through some depression as a kid. I went through a lot of sadness, being in a new place, not having many friends.
Right.
And at one point she asked me, do you need to see somebody? And I was like, no, Ma, I'm just getting it out. You know? And so that's where poetry started for me. And actually...
they actually sent me to the counselor when they read my poetry. So at least your mom just asked you. They was like, you talking to somebody.
She was like, I'm a little worried. I was like, no, Ma, I'm good. It's just a good way of me getting it out.
Absolutely.
So I grew from that. And then I started feeling this thing in me, and I was a very shy little girl. So I didn't like being on stage. It was very nerve-wracking for me until there was a time, I was probably about, I don't know, 16, 17 years old when we met. And went to the Orbit Cafe. I said, you know what? I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if I can't feel my legs. I don't care if I can't breathe. I got something to say, and I want somebody to hear it.
That's right.
And I got up on stage, and I did it. And I didn't know what a slam was either. I had no idea that was like you didn't know that. Like I didn't know you didn't know that arena. So I got up there for the first time and did my thing, and it was like a high. Where's the next stage? Where's the next open mic?
Exactly.
And then, you know, it felt good meeting you. It was It was different meeting somebody that you could share those things with.
Absolutely.
And we did. We shared a lot
Yeah.
of conversation about poetry and life. And we went up into the sky and we talked about stars.
Yeah.
It was really cool to have that
Absolutely.
connection. After that, it just took off.
It could be tough moving to a city like Phoenix, you know, being a person of color, Black, Puerto Rican, what have you, and from a major city.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
You surrounded by people that look just like you, and you get to Phoenix, and you got to look for people that look like you. You know what I mean? And just the cultural shift from the East Coast or Midwest to the Southwest, West Coast.
True.
So that's different
I went
too.
through a lot of ups and downs because when I started working, you know, I'm sure my accent was a lot stronger. I was about 16 years old.
Hold up. It was stronger than it is now? Do you,
It was
I don't know.
stronger,
Can you
it was
hear
not,
you?
You know what I'm saying? It was stronger. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know if that's possible.
And I remember working my first job and being let go because of it. It was a
What?
phone job. Yeah, they let me go because my accent was too strong. Now, granted, I was naive. I didn't know that you could get in trouble for letting me go for this.
Right.
But it taught me something. I remember crying going home and saying to myself, what am I going to do about something that I have no control over?
Wow.
So I made sure that every other phone job I had after that, I was a professional. I kind of flipped it. I flipped the whole experience. So it was that. It was the accent. It was my skin color. Are you white? Are you black? Are you black and white? Are you Mexican and black? What is Mexican? Like, I didn't even know what Mexican was. I mean, I grew up in the South Bronx.
Right.
I was surrounded by Jamaicans and
Right.
Jews and Puerto Ricans and rarely any white people. I
Right.
mean, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really know what that was about. And then coming here and seeing black men with white women, it was a trip. I didn't even know how to define it. But I didn't have an issue with it either because I was
just
in a new
new.
place. Exactly.
It was
And
new,
I
it was
just-
different, right?
this
Not
is
a
how they
strong
live,
Mexican
right.
community maybe in the South
Yes.
Bronx,
Yes.
right? And we super, I say we, I feel like a part of the community. Super strong here in Arizona.
Sure.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. So I went through that. I went through my ups
But you
and
know
downs
what's
with that.
amazing, you know, and what I appreciate about what you just said is that situation happened, it hurt you, it sent you home crying, but then you took it and you flipped it.
I did flip it because, and to be honest with you, I think it was more that the having to change myself was more work than just doing me, but doing it very well. And that's what it was for me. It was too much stress to try to change what I couldn't change.
Right.
So I flipped it.
So it's not about changing you.
No.
It's about doing you better.
Better.
Enhancing what you already. I hope y'all taking notes, writing this down because you know she dropping some nuggets right here. You know that's a big thing, and especially during that time frame in the teenage years. You know it's a lot of hormones, a lot of stuff going on. We all crazy as teenagers, right? You don't realize it till you're 25 and be like, I was crazy.
That's
you know,
right.
what's wrong with me? So you continue to do the poetry and you do the whole thing. Then you got off into, I know you lock, you do a lot of different things. So tell me a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey.
It went from performing and getting over the stage fright to hosting open mic. Once you start hosting open mic, you start meeting people who want to do what you do. How
Right.
do you get on that stage?
Now you're
I
coaching.
write. Yes. And so they're asking, how do you do that? Oh, well, I gotta do
From scared to
workshops now.
share.
Yeah.
To workshops, coaching, seminars.
Yes. And that's what I do. I go into the rehab centers. I go into the correctional facilities. I go into the high schools and I teach. But this time, I don't just teach how to perform poetry. I teach how to perform in life. Because the world is your stage.
Come on.
Okay? So I teach how to handshake.
Right.
I teach how to use eye contact and
Right.
voice projection. They ask you your name, you say it clearly.
Right.
And if they don't say it right, you correct them and make them say it the right way. So it's about that, you know. So
Come
I'm
on.
more than just a poet. I'm more than just a performer. I'm a woman who has grown in herself. And I know what it's like to live in this world professionally at all times.
Come on.
Because you don't know who's watching you.
Exactly.
You don't. I tell that to my kids all the time. Even my son on the basketball court. You don't know who's watching you. Pay attention to your behavior at all times.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
You see, what you're breaking down is life lessons. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, you know, poetry, once again, poetry is a segue. Poetry is a gateway.
is.
Poetry is an attention getter.
Yes.
It is not the end.
No. Not at all.
It may be the report of the thing, but know that it has to be a thing, an event, a process attached to it before or after the
I
actual
learned a lot
performance.
about my life through that, through my beginning. I learned a lot about how to maneuver through life from the beginning. And it was about being on stage, stage presence, knowing your body, knowing yourself, knowing how you move. You know, everybody, a lot of people hide behind that podium. You need to come out of the podium.
Come on.
You need to get comfortable in your skin. You need to work that stage.
The crutch.
Use your hands. And that was another thing, too, about being here. I went out for a waitressing position. And he didn't like that I talked with my hands. So he didn't give me the job. So that was another thing that I had to fight through.
Right.
But that's
you know
how
what's
I move.
amazing?
That's how I channel.
You know what's amazing in this world? People will attempt to make you feel bad for the things that if they could do, they would.
Right.
But because they can't do it, let me make you feel bad because it makes them uncomfortable.
Yes.
It's him having an issue with your hand movement had nothing to do with you.
Right.
Had all to do with his level of comfort.
Right.
Because he would have had trouble hiring somebody from New York, Chicago,
really.
the South, Puerto Rican, an Italian. I mean, so many cultures. You know what I mean?
Very
that that's communication.
It is.
You know what
It
I mean?
is.
So it's really amazing how that works and how you've been able to not just use poetry, but your environment to grow through, to get your lessons.
Oh, yes.
And I would guess some of the lessons hurt. Some of the lessons don't come as smooth.
No, they don't.
Because, it sounds like it was like it happened and you out.
Yeah.
You figure it out.
But then that's where the gift, that's where the skill comes in, because you can channel that hurt and that pain through your writing.
Come on.
Through your singing, through your sewing. Like I meet a lot of young women and I ask them, what do they do? I like to do nails. Okay, well, that's your thing. That's your unique, just draw through it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's how I get through a lot of my stuff, through my gift.
You mentioned the young women. I know you do a lot of work when it comes to women and just analyzing that and just womanhood in and of itself. And totally respect that. Amazing mom, amazing leader. Just, I mean, you play a serious role in the Phoenix community. So to hear that you came here shaking and nervous and critiqued for your accent. Now everybody, they're like, hey, Divine, with the accent. Now that's almost like a claim to fame. That's your thing. The accent. So when it comes to what caused you to become so passionate about, because all women aren't passionate about women issues. Everybody don't step, that's not their calling. But it seems like it's really your calling. What caused you to really pick up that mantle and really run with a womanistic feel on a lot of your things?
Because when I look back at my life and the things that I have been through, I've grown from them and I've healed from them. And I know other women who've been through it and are still going through it and still sit in it. But I know that they can get out of it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's my experiences that draw me to helping other women.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is through my poetry. I have to say I don't do a whole lot of public speaking.
Yeah.
A lot of my lesson teaching and all is through my poetry. And it's all real. All my poetry is life experience, And so I draw the women by experience. Been there, sister. I know what you're talking about.
Come on. You're
not talking another language. I get it. And when they see me perform and they see me do my work, they know I get it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let me just share something with you real quick. This is how I knew that I was here for more than just poetry. I was coming from the young woman's correctional facility. And I was in the car. I was talking to God. I'm not even going to front. And I said, why do you keep putting me in these places?
Right.
I don't have anything. I can't relate to these girls. All I have is poetry.
Right.
I'm just a poet. Why you keep putting me here? And I'm driving home, and I remember a situation when I was young. And I said, oh, snap, I can relate. Oh, wow. So now I go back to the drawing board.
There it is.
I forgot this part. So it was like, you're here for a reason.
Yeah.
I put you here for a reason, and it's okay. And that's when I said, I can relate to you, and I am allowed to be here. and talk to you.
You know, it's crazy. You forgot, and probably of something painful, that you needed later to help guide somebody else, to even understand your worth and your purpose.
Right.
It's amazing how we run through, because
It's
I've done
true.
it.
It's
We
true.
run through our pains. We're so busy trying to get through our pains, we don't utilize them.
Right.
We leave the lesson behind
Yeah, we
with
do.
the pain.
Big
Because
time.
we're trying to forget that it ever happened, when actually we need that lesson.
We need that.
That we guess. So you have a poem.
Yes.
You have a poem, and we talked about it a little bit. That actually, if you would share, with the audience, that'd be great, right? Because I know you're dope. I know you're awesome. There's a couple thousand on here know you're awesome, but if more than a couple thousand here, they need to know that you're awesome as well, and what it sounds like to really be from the heart, that genuine space. So if it's all right with you, I would love it if you would share that, and we'll just go full on her camera-wise, and we'll take a quick break afterwards. Because I don't know if you like me, I need to recover after I do a poem.
Right.
I need a second.
I need to breathe.
Just to bring it back, right? So if you could tell us the name of your piece and
It's
give it
called,
to us.
Her Name is Haiti.
Her name is Haiti.
Her power rests within her ability to stay above sea level even when outsiders thought she'd sink. She walks with cement feet and she holds on with graceful arms, the bags under her eyes that carry months of pain. Yet through it all, her heart pumps every day. Hope sits on her right shoulder and determination springs from her mind. She always returns to the nest to retrieve what the waters left behind. Legs built to carry her broad hips and her babies, while her back holds up her breasts that continue to support what they call the poorest and most illiterate nation in the West. Temporary structures are what they are, but she's smart enough to keep building. She's smart enough to produce out of nothing. You thought the earth would crush her dreams, yet she still dreams. You thought the earth would swallow her whole, but what's physical isn't soul, so you underestimated her existence. You basically took her for granted. You thought you were the only one connected, but her connection is never stagnant. Her power source is always at attention, yet yours is always wreaking havoc. So with that in her subconscious mind, she keeps keeping on. She may not understand why, but there's no time to wonder. She keeps keeping on. She may not like how her world has been rearranged, but there's no time to ponder. She keeps keeping on. She's overstood harder times, maybe not as obvious as this, but her spirit will never rest, because she still exists.
Come on.
Get out of here.
You better quit.
Stop it.
Stop playing. Stop playing. Feeling it. Look, the woman inside me feeling power. My feminine side.
I rose up the woman in you.
You better quit playing with me. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back and finish out our first episode.
Jagged jigsaw pieces tossed about the room. I saw my grandma sweeping with her old straw broom. But she didn't know what she was doing. She could hardly understand that she was really sweeping up pieces of a man. I saw my daddy meet the mailman, and I heard the mailman say, "Now don't you take this letter too hard now, Jimmy. They've laid off 9 others today." But he didn't know what he was saying. he could hardly understand that he was only talking to pieces of a man. I saw the thunder and heard the lightning and felt the burden of his shame. And for some unknown reason, he never turned my way. Pieces of that letter were tossed about the room, and now I hear the sound of sirens come knifing through the gloom. But they don't know what they are doing. They could hardly understand that they're only arresting pieces of a man. I saw him go to pieces. I saw him go to pieces. He was always such a good man. He was always such a strong man. Yeah, I saw him go to pieces. I saw him.
Hey, welcome back to Poetically Speaking with HB. And of course, our guest, Divine, is in the house. Man, that poem totally rocked it. The spirit of that thing was just beautiful. And I mean, you're amazing. It's really not much to say, but you're amazing, and it's genuine, it's authentic. And I think that's what a lot is being missed these days. People are so committed to the flow of the thing or the performance of the thing. They're missing the soul of the thing.
Very true.
Are you bleeding on the mic? Is it painful for you? Do you feel a release after you did it? You know, these are the things, and you exemplify that, but you always have. I do, before we dive into this next topic, want to give up your websites, right? So divineforlife.org.
Yes, sir.
And that has a link for your poetry, your hair locking, as well as your photography, right?
It also shows a performance video as well as another interview I had done with Suvita.
Nice.
So that way you have more information on, what motivates me and whatnot.
Perfect. So Divine for Life, for spelled out, FOR, life.org. And you get a chance to keep up with Divine. I encourage you to do that because it will enhance your life. Everything gets better. It's like lotteries. It's just adobo seasoning or something. You know what I mean? It will enhance everything. So we met each other when we were kids.
Yes.
Now we got kids. And I always brag about my two, which you did some awesome photography for, right? Took great pictures of my babies.
That was
I was
great.
like, man,
That was great.
I'm making
got a lot of
profile
character.
pictures and stuff of it. I mean, it was awesome. So we got to get back in there and do another photo shoot with you. But you got boys.
Yes, sir. 4 of them.
You have 4 boys. You are a prince maker. You know what I'm saying?
Gosh.
You got, eventual king constructor, right? So, how is it? I know about women, but now raising these boys, because right now society is trying to knock us off.
Yeah, no doubt.
Trayvon Johnson was actually a close friend of my family. Young man just got shot in Chicago by the police. Young brothers are we're at risk in a lot of different areas and
sure.
ways, while, women of color are the most educated group. Black women are the most educated group in the United States right now. Black men are, just being shot down left and right, police, prison, all kind of just little things to get them kicked out of schools, zero tolerances. How do you maneuver in a world that sometimes seems to despise the 4 lives you helped create?
I'm gonna tell you how I do it. I can only speak from my stuff.
For sure.
Right? I don't entertain what doesn't need to be entertained.
Come
now,
on.
here's what I mean by that. Energy is real big.
Yeah.
And that's where it starts. So there's not a whole lot of idle time when it comes to the kids. So they have their tablets, and we're in 2017, right? You're not
Right.
shocked, right?
Yeah.
So they have their tablets, they have their extracurricular stuff.
Yeah.
The one thing that I've been implementing in my children since they were young was finding their personal space.
Yeah.
And because they're boys, they are going to grow up to be men. And from experience, or just from being around boys, I'm the youngest of 4 children. I'm
Yeah.
the only girl. I have 3 older brothers.
Right.
When men get angry, it's physical.
Yeah.
So I started with my children young that when you're angry, you start from right here first. Bring it down. I need you to bring it down. So I taught them a lot of breathing exercises to help with the anger, to channel better, to use your words instead of being physical. So we work on that a lot. I have to say that's probably one of my biggest focus with the boys.
Wow.
I have twin boys that are 9 years old. So there's already a magnetic something going on between the 2 of them.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a whole lot of bickering, but there's also a lot of territory.
Oh, yeah.
This is my
Yeah, they butt heads.
They're very competitive.
WWF jumping off the top rope on each other.
So one of the things that I do teach them too is don't ever fight in public. Don't ever let people see that.
Yeah.
Because when they see people dissatisfied, they work on that separation.
They keep pushing you apart.
Right. And we can't have that. So we need that connection to stay. Now, as far as what's going on in the world and our brothers being knocked down, I always strive to empower my sons.
Yeah.
You are highly intelligent. You are very, my apologies. You're very intelligent. I give them a lot of inspirational stuff. They pound the mirror, when they see themselves.
Right.
A lot of motivation. If they're good at something, I always try to push that. TV, not even happening. They don't do the TV at all. We just don't do television. For what? When my youngest son sees the news, he's scared of it. So instead, we have conversation.
Wow.
We have a lot of talk. And
Okay.
some people feel like the things that I talk about with my kids are a little too much for them at this age. I don't feel like that. I'd rather them learn from me than learn from the street.
Well, what's awesome is the stuff that you're describing demands attention and time from you.
Yeah.
To have a lot of conversation means you have to engage your kids.
Right.
You have to take time out to talk to your children.
Yeah.
You have to.
That's a must.
And so many don't. So many can't find the time for their own.
They rely
right?
on the tablets, the computers, the things. And that's just, I don't work like that. I'm very communicative. I have to be in your eyes. I have to talk to you. What are you feeling? What's going on? I don't understand all of that. I need you to talk to me. And that's
Right.
how my kids are with me.
Right.
And with young men, that's my focus. My focus is you have to get it out. Use your words. Write it down. You don't have to show it to anybody. Just get it off
out.
of your chest. Yeah.
Do you think that what you've learned and what you grew into as a poet prepared you for motherhood?
Yes, big time.
Because you went back to having them write it down.
Yes.
And that's how you described and what you learned.
That's right.
Is to write
even
it
if
down.
it's a little bit. It doesn't even have to be. How else do you want to express that? Painting? Not a problem. And so, being a poet, granted, I'm a woman and I can't raise these boys by myself, but I have a huge community of men like you.
Of course.
That come in without question and handle my boys when they need to be handled and respectfully.
Of course.
Because I do believe that our children are young little people and they're going to grow up. And one of the other big things with being a mom and being surrounded by men is that they watch me.
Yeah.
They watch how I dress. They watch how I talk to people. They watch how I conduct myself. And it's huge because they're going to look for that in other women.
Ooh, drop that on you.
Yeah.
So are you raising these boys? That's what they're going to look for in their wives.
Yeah.
So watch out now.
I have a 17-year-old who plays basketball. He drives now. So he's out of the house a lot. So he's the one that I have the most conversations with what's going on.
Right.
And I let him know, head up, shoulders back. Right. Respect yourself, look in people's eyes, stay away from certain situations, certain people. Right. Not that may or may not matter, but to just be conscious.
Right.
I always tell him to be aware of your surroundings.
It's you know what, and we'll start to close out with this, but a lot of people think when you give instruction to a child or just a person in order to keep them safe, you're almost blaming the victim. And no, I'm trying to heighten your chances at survival.
Exactly.
Right? So if I have a daughter,
right,
and I tell my daughter, like, not in that environment. I don't want you wearing that.
That's right.
I'm not shaming her.
Sure.
I know that it's psychos out here.
That's right.
It's insane cats out here.
Sure.
And I want to keep, if somebody's going to a Crip neighborhood, you tell them you probably shouldn't wear all red.
Right.
Now, should you be able to wear all red?
Yeah, big time.
But we're not about to change societal life with you doing that and putting your life at risk.
Sure.
Right? So teaching these young men how to move is not taking the responsibility off of bogus cops or anybody else.
That's right.
But it's helping them.
That's right.
Just because I don't want them to be the lesson.
Look,
I don't want to be the next news story.
Even the pants sagging.
Yeah.
None of that is
it's just
happening
ugly.
in my house.
Yeah,
it's
ugly.
And then it's not presentable,
Yeah.
And so we might joke around about it at home, but that's not something that I allow my children to step out the house. I don't care what kind of fad is in. You are a young black man who's already being looked at a certain way.
There you go.
And so even in school, you're expected to entertain. You're expected to act a fool. How about we not do that?
There you go.
How about we not do that?
You know what's bothering me now? The mumbling.
Oh.
They don't talk.
Yes.
I'm like, what?
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
What are you
Speak up,
saying?
be clear.
But then I turn the radio on and some of these rappers, it's popular to
big time.
I'm like, what is this mumbling? I just don't even know what you're saying. I'm not even disagreeing with what you're saying because I don't know what you're saying.
Big time.
It's terrible.
It's
terrible.
It's all like that.
So we got all kind of stuff. We could do this for another 12 hours.
Yeah, we could. I know.
Thank you so much for spending time.
You're welcome.
You got your boys in the break room. The twins is here. You know what I mean? Thank you so much for sacrifice. I appreciate it. And thank you for tuning in, for taking a look, for checking this out. We are going to do some amazing things this year. 2017 is going to be a year of completion for a whole lot. We're going forward. We're not holding back. We're not slowing down. We are HomeBase, the Poets Poetry Set. This is Poetically Speaking. I am HB, and we are just getting started. Take care.
Jagged jigsaw